Recognize, I'm putting the majority leader on standby. Majority leader on standby. I will recognize the pro tem for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SR 214.
The pro tem has moved that the Senate agree to House substitute SR 214. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 214 by Senators Ginn of the 47th and others, a resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on Local Option Sales Tax and Service Delivery Strategy and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Resolution 214, a resolution to call for the nomination and election of the chairperson of the State Election Board and for other purposes. Whereas subsection A1 of Code Section 21-2-30 requires the chairperson of the State Election Board to be elected by the General Assembly in accordance with the procedures set forth in such subsection. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Mr. Pro Tem, Senator from the 18th. Would you like to speak to the agree or you good? You waive? Okay. Senator from the 53rd, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to unanimously excuse the senator from the 8th.
Without objection, the senator from the 8th is excused. Is there objection to the Senate agreeing to the House substitute? Is there objection? Without objection, all those in favor of the House's position of agreeing to substitute of Senate Resolution 214 will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 27th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, at the end of this vote, I would ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 28th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator on the next go around be excused. On the motion, the yeas are 45, the nays are 1, and this motion has prevailed. I recognize the senator from the 33rd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute on Senate Bill 218.
Senator from the 33rd has moved that the Senate agree to House Substitute SB 218. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 218 by Senator Rett of the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 5 of Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to identification cards for persons without driver's licenses so as to provide for the issuance of identification cards to persons completing a term of incarceration, to provide that the Department of Corrections share identifying information with the Department of Driver Services, to amend Article 2 of Chapter 9 of Title 42. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 218, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 5 of Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to identification cards for persons without driver's licenses so as to provide for the issuance of identification cards to persons completing a term of incarceration, to provide that the Department of Corrections share identifying information with the Department of Driver Services. That completes the order, Mr. President.
I recognize the Senator from the 33rd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. This is a simple bill. We just took out the word "the department" because that might be misconstrued that the sheriff departments were involved in this. This is just dealing with the state prisons. It passed the Senate 56-0. It passed the House 171-0, and I ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. President. What the bill does is it gives ID cards to inmates once they leave prison, or a driver's license. I yield the well if there's no questions.
No questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. The senator from the 33rd has moved that the Senate agree to the House's position, House's substitute on SB 218. All those in favor will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the amendment, the substitution, the yeas are 44 and the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. I recognize the senator from the 45th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 90.
Senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute of SB 90. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 90 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to selling and other trade practices so as to provide for commercial financing disclosures. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 90, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to commerce and trade so as to add an example of an unfair or deceptive practice regarding brokerage engagements and options to enter into brokerage engagements to the Fair Business Practices Act. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 45th to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was a friendly addition to the bill. Essentially what we found out in the real estate industry over the past year, there's been some predatory listing practices where there's been some predatory where they've come in and they're coercing, a lot of times it's older folks, into like a 40-year lease. And a lot of times they're locked into it. And a lot of times the families don't find out about it until after that person is deceased. On record, there's about 4,000 of those in the state. So this bill would clean it up. It would also prevent those listings from happening to protect those homeowners as well. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. The Senate has moved that we agree to the House substitute for Senate Bill 90. All those in favor of the measure will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 41, nays are 5, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 30th.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 86.
The senator from the 30th, pinch hitting for the senator from the 28th, has agreed that the House agrees to the substitution on Senate Bill 86. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 86 by Senator Brass of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education so as to allow eligible students participating in the dual enrollment program to access Hope Career Grant funds for certain CTAIE courses irrespective of whether they have reached maximum credit hour caps. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 86, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to financing under the Quality Basic Education Act so as to allow eligible students participating in the dual enrollment program to access Hope Grant funds for certain CTAE courses irrespective of whether they have reached maximum credit hour caps. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the measure? Chair hearing none. All those in favor of the substitute to Senate Bill 86 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Our state and local government chairman would like to make a quick announcement as soon as this vote is over with, so I'm going to give him a point of personal privilege to do that. On the motion, the ayes are 45, the nays are 2, and this motion has prevailed. I recognize the senator from the 47th, our distinguished state and local government's chairman. He wants to make an announcement to the body.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know everybody in here realizes that before we took a break a little bit ago, he read 62 local bills and assigned to my committee. Now, I don't know how the rest of y'all all work, but, you know, I want to take this point of personal privilege and introduce you to Sarah Tauscher. Sarah is interning from UGA. Everybody here, give her a round of applause. But between Sarah's great work and my administrative assistant, Miss Emily Doppel, who's another good bulldog, said we get stuff done. But I'm going to tell you, said all those people over there on the other side of the building, they dropped all those 62 bills. So if you want to see your local legislation fail, don't go see Sarah. If you want to get your local legislation passed, you come see Sarah. But by next week, Monday, she's going to have a stack of bills that big. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick on one of our newer members, Senator Estevez. He just had a House member come over here, and if you look at his shoes, they really need shining. So for me, my model over here, make sure that you're getting your shoes signed on those local bills. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. All right. Thank you, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 27th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate agree to the House substitute for Senate Bill 204.
The Senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 204. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 204 by Senator Dole, August 27th, and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 14 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education accountability so as to provide for the recognition of certain accrediting agencies as evaluators of the quality of education offered in public schools in this state. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 204, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 14 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education accountability so as to provide for the recognition of certain accrediting agencies as evaluators of the quality of education offered in public schools in this state, to provide for the accreditation of public schools and local school systems by recognized accrediting agencies. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize you waving? You pretty confident, huh? All right. All right. The Senator's waving his will speech. Was any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. The senator from the 27th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 204. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator for the 14th, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, it's not true this bill does something.
Apparently the senator knows what he speaks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from the 31st, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that this bill is so strong it passed this body unanimously the last time we voted on it?
Ain't no question about it, Senator. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 48, nays are 0, and this measure has passed. Senator from the 9th, what purpose do you rise?
Mission Control. Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 10th.
Without objection, the senator from the 10th is excused. Senator from the 15th, do you have a question? What purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 12th.
From the 12th. Without objection, the senator from the 12th is excused. I recognize the pro tem for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for unanimous consent to remove HB 475 from the table.
The pro tem has moved that House Bill 475 be taken off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 475 by Representative Smith of the 18th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend the official code of Georgia annotated so as to revise, modernize, correct errors or omissions in, and reenact the statutory portion of said code as amended in furtherance of the work of the Code Revision Commission, to repeal portions of said code or acts in amendment thereof which have become obsolete, have been declared to be unconstitutional, or have been preempted or superseded by subsequent laws. The Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 18th has moved that House Bill 475 be removed from the table. Is there objection? Hearing none, HB 475 is removed from the table, and I recognize the senator from the 18th to speak to the measure.
Good evening, colleagues, and thank you, Mr. President. This should be short and quick. This is HB 475. Once a year, I usually come to you and tell you about the annual code revision of our official code of Georgia Annotated. The Office of Legislative Counsel does a great job maintaining and updating the official code, and I appreciate their work when they go through and do the annual revision. This changes things like e-mail to email without the dash, and as you'll see in the bill 475, basically makes grammatical corrections to the official code of Georgia as the lawyers go through it and review it every year. Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody's still awake.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Okay, so this is what, so everybody will be up to speed. The next three bills that we are going to take up, or attempt to take up, if everybody agrees to it, is House Bill 80, House Bill 128, and House Bill 572. So just to give everybody a heads up there. I recognize Pro Tem again for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to lift HB 80 from the table. Give it some life.
The Pro Tem has asked that HB 80 be taken off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 80 by Representative Lever of the 123rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 14 of Title 24 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to general provisions regarding proof generally so as to enact the Uniform Unsworn Declarations Act to provide for unsworn declarations to have the same effect as sworn declarations in certain circumstances. The Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 80, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 9 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding civil practice so as to enact the Uniform Unsworn Declarations Act to provide for unsworn declarations to have the same effect as sworn declarations in certain circumstances to provide for exceptions. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator has moved that HB 80 be taken from the table. Is there objection? Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 18th to speak to the bill.
Thank you again, Mr. President and colleagues. I bring you HB 80. Yes, it's kind of a lawyer bill, but it's pretty simple. It's the Uniform Unsworn Declarations Act, which removes the need for a notary to sign documents made by foreign declarants. That is, folks signing documents under oath in a foreign country. Protections for such declarations are still in place. There's no changes made to the crime of perjury for making a false statement. However, the difficulty of finding a notary in a foreign country is a barrier to conducting business, and this bill really improves that. The bill does not apply to notarial acts for depositions. The person signing the document will have to sign a statement that they understand that they're making a false statement. If they're making a false statement on the document, that would subject them to penalty for perjury. It's also important to note that this bill would elevate Georgia's status for international business because it removes the logistical hurdle for companies that are presently doing business in the state. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer questions or yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 17th, for what purpose do you rise? State your inquiry.
Mr. President, isn't it true that we're all rejoicing we finally got the issue of your online notary behind us?
Senator knows of what he speaks. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 42 and the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 3rd for a motion.
Mr. President, I move we take House Bill 128 off the table.
Senators moved that House Bill 128 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 128 by Representative Hong of the 103rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 48 and 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation and state government respectively, so as to provide for representation of minority business enterprises, women-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses in the area of procurement of state contracts for construction services, equipment, and goods. The Committee of the Senate on Economic Development and Tourism recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Beach of the 21st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 3rd has moved that HB 128 be taken from the table. Is there objection? Without objection, recognize the senator from the 3rd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have House Bill 128, its governor's bill. In July of 2022, Governor did an executive order to the Department of Administrative Services to address challenges that small businesses experience in the state's procurement process. The goal was to cut red tape in that process and to support small businesses. The DOAS issued a report called Small Business and Suppliers Diversity in October. They talked with 28 stakeholder meetings, and they had 600 individual interactions. This bill is a product of the challenges that were identified in that report. The bill does 4 things. Number 1, it decouples the state from federal disadvantaged business enterprise process. Previously, a DBE would have to get that certification from the federal government and then the state, and they did it through the DOT. Secondly, the second thing it does, it brings the state MBE program and process under the Department of Administrative Services rather than the DOT. The DOAS will set policy and guidelines for the MBE certification. The Fed process is still available under DOT, but this will help people who are non-transportation vendors. The third thing it does, it adds the certification process available to minority business enterprises. It adds also women-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses to that process. And I'll tell you that in Georgia, Georgia ranks number 3 in the nation in minority business enterprises. 37% of our small businesses are minority-owned, about 470 businesses. But women, we rank number 5 in the nation. 46% of our small businesses are owned by women, about 470,000 businesses. And then veterans, we rank number 4 in the nation. 7% of our small businesses are owned by veterans, about 76,000 businesses. Then the last thing that this bill does is it incentivizes what the bill calls prime contractors, what you and I might call a general contractor, with a tax deduction equal to 10% of the payments that they make to an MBE subcontractor. That deduction's been available since 1991, but this bill will also add women-owned businesses and veteran-owned businesses to that. So the sum total of this bill is it will help minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses to better navigate the procurement process in the state of Georgia, and it will support small businesses. Mr. President, I yield for any questions.
You do have one question. Senator from the 15th, do you wish to rise for a question?
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I will, sir.
Senator, I was looking for, you made a reference to decouple from federal regulations. What is that?
Well, previously, Senator, what that means is
captured in another area or something?
No, previously, to get certification as a minority-owned business, there was a federal process you had to go through first. You went through the DOT, and then you got your state process. Now you don't have to go through the DOT. Say you're a business and you're a vendor and you don't handle transportation type issues. You do something else. This way you don't have to go to the DOT. You just go through the DOAS and get that certification.
And Senator, for the year, for one more question. On page 2, under section 3, it strikes certain terms, specific terms, and it yields on the other page, line 47, classified subcontractor means a small business certified as a minority business enterprise, women and veteran, but it no longer refers to a minority, African American or something like that. So is that more embracing, or I'm just trying to understand why they strike those specific references?
Also, Senator, I would, if you look at line 108, go to 108.
108. Yes.
You see is used in this part, minority means an individual who's a member of a race which comprises less than 50% of the total population of the state and is black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific American, Native American, or Asian Indian.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
You do recognize the senator from the 53rd for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. What if somebody identifies as a minority, the alternate gender, and a veteran?
They hit the jackpot. Senator, there's a certification process that the DOS will go through to fully vet those claims.
You have no further questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. Previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary unlock the machine. We just got a few more, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few more, and we'll be done for the week. We're actually still in. The House has adjourned, by the way, but I have no idea why we're still doing House bills right now. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 44 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 25th. My senator. There he is. Senator from the 25th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that House Bill 572 be disinterred and brought up to the well.
The senator from the 25th, what was that word you used? I missed that.
Disinterred.
Okay, all right. Senator from the 25th has moved that Secretary read the caption.
House Bill 572 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to government transparency and campaign finance, so as to rename the Georgia Government Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission as the State Ethics Commission, to amend Code Sections 36-62-5 and 37-2-6.1 and Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to Development Authority Directors. The Committee of the Senate on Ethics recommends that this bill do pass, respectively submitted by Senator Burns of the 23rd District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The Undertaker from Milledgeville has moved that House Bill 572 be taken from the table. Is there objection? Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 25th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. This is a very simple bill. basically renaming the Georgia Government Transparency and Campaign Finance Commission to the State Ethics Commission. There's a few other things, cleanups, but I won't bore you. If I don't have any questions, I'll ask for your favorable consideration and leave the well.
You do have one question, Senator. Senator from the 17th, what purpose do you rise?
I have a question. Will you yield for a question?
I will.
Senator, is that the actual bill you're presenting this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You have no
more
question.
questions, I'll leave the well. Thank you.
Senator's yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47, nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. I recognize the pro tem for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to make a little quick announcement today. We had the baklava that we enjoyed that was in the anteroom, and that was the gift from Mike Chokas from the House, and he brought that over. We were going to put one piece on everybody's desk, but we realized that was going to make a huge mess. So we didn't do that, but because of that, if we'd done that, there would have been a card telling you who it came from, but that was from Representative Mike Chokas. He brought that over in honor of this 202nd anniversary of Greek independence. And so he wanted all of us members to enjoy some of that. So when you see Representative... Thank you. So when you see Representative Chokas, just tell him thanks for the nice gesture and that we enjoyed it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to the representative as well. That was very kind of him. I recognize the senator from the 31st. What purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I'd like to excuse the senator from the 37th without objection.
Senator from the, without objection, senator from the 37th is excused. Okay, so we're going to, you have a special action list, list number 2. That's going to be, so there's 4 on that special action list. That's going to conclude our night once we're done with those special action. Unless y'all overrule me and y'all want to keep going, we can keep taking House bills up if you want to. But that is the course of action right now is the special action list. And I recognize the Appropriations Chair, Senator from the 19 for motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 131.
Senator has moved that Senate agree to a House substitute on SB 131. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 131 by Senator Tillery of the 19th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 13 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to permanent guardianship so as to provide for service by publication. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 131, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 13 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to permanent guardianship so as to provide for service by publication to update permanent guardianship proceedings. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the Senator from the 19th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 131 was a part of the Lieutenant Governor's Children's and Families package that moved through this body, moved through the House, and are coming back. And I want to say congratulations to the Lieutenant Governor and also to the Senator from the 32nd for their work there. Senate Bill 131 specifically was probably the most lawyer of those lawyerly bills, and it dealt with service, who should get service and notice in dependency actions and in termination actions. So that part is still there. The House did place an amendment on it. It's an amendment that I want to make sure we take a second to recognize. It was placed on after a young lady, a 15-year-old named Diana Romero, visited with Speaker Burns, with our leadership, and with the Representative Ballinger. See, Diana is a 15-year-old, I told you, from Gwinnett County, who is the only person in her family to survive a brutal knife attack by her own mother 6 years ago. At the age of 9, she lost her father and 4 other siblings, and she nearly lost her own life due to her mother's moment of mental illness. Her mother pleaded guilty to those crimes and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Diana's uncle, her father's brother, adopted her last year, but he had to go to court to face the woman who killed his brother's family in order to do so. Diana's mother wanted her to be sent to Mexico, somewhere where she had never been, to live with her sister, and Diana was tormented at the very thought of this. You see, this bill would automatically now sever the parental rights of a parent who's convicted of murder or manslaughter of the other parent. Diana came to the Capitol, as I said 2 weeks ago, and shared her story for the first time with members of the House and Senate. And she looked forward to being here tonight, but because of the transactions of the afternoon, she wasn't able to do so. And while this bill will not be formally named for her, I hope you'll be able to vote yes tonight in her honor, and that it will be unofficially named the Diana Romero Act. You see, this is a brave young lady who wants to make sure that no other kids have to go through the uncertainty she had to face because of her mother's conviction due to mental illness. And she wants to make sure that other children don't have to endure this and will have a say-so in where they go. That's the House amendment, and I think it's the most pure and honorable and duly fits on Senate Bill 131. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well and ask that with your vote yes, you unofficially endorse that we name this the Diana Romero Act. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. All those in favor of agreeing to the House substitute on Senate Bill 131 will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary unlock the machine. Senator from the 25th, what purpose do you rise? Senator from the 25th. You waive? Okay. On the passage of the motion, the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47, the nays are 0, and this motion has been approved. I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank the senator from the 32nd and the senator from the 19th for all your good work on that committee, the Children's and Family Committee, as well as this bill. And I appreciate the senator from the 19th's kind words. And senator from the 32nd, you've done an excellent job chairing that committee. And I just want to thank y'all because this was a priority of mine. So thank y'all very much. I recognize the senator from the 52nd for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 197.
The senator has moved the Senate agree to House substitute on Senate Bill 197. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 197 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to general provisions relative to professions and businesses so as to prohibit deceptive or misleading terms or false representations by healthcare practitioners. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 197, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to general provisions relative to professions and businesses so as to prohibit deceptive or misleading terms or false representations by healthcare practitioners. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 52nd to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's kind of a setup having to follow the appropriations chair with that bill, but this is a very simple bill on medical title transparency. It passed out of here 54-2. The House added a line clarifying speech pathologist. And no questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Senate has moved to agree to the House substitute on Senate Bill 197 without objection. No objection. Those in favor of the measure will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 47, the nays are 1, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 52nd again for motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 164.
Senator has moved that the Senate agree to a House substitute on Senate Bill 164. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 164 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 26 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to nurses so as to provide for licensure of advanced practice registered nurses. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 164, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to professions and businesses so as to provide for the licensure and regulation of healthcare providers, to provide for licensure of advanced practice registered nurses, to revise definitions, to provide for licensure requirements, to provide for renewal of licenses. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 52nd to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is for title only. We passed this out 54-0 of our advanced practice medical professionals. It went through the GORT committee, and so it's the next to last bill of tonight, but it may be the last bill that went through GORT, depending on what happens. If there's no questions, I'll yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Senator has moved that we agree to House substitute to Senate Bill 164. Is there objection? Without objection, all those in favor of the measure will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the measure, the yeas are 47, the nays are 0, and this measure has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 6th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 199.
Senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 199. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 199 by Senator Estevez of the 6th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 18 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to the state's Employment Benefit Plan Council so as to require such council to establish health savings accounts and to continually provide for education or salary reductions for such accounts. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 199, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 18 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to the state's Employee Benefit Plan Council so as to require such council to establish health savings accounts and to continually provide for education or salary reduction for such accounts. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 6th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, very quickly, this is a bill that passed unanimously to provide, from the Senate, to provide state employees with the option to have health savings accounts. The House made a minor change on the request of the department to provide them some more flexibility as far as timing goes. The good news is that DOAS and the State Health Benefit Plan have committed to both working towards providing employees and teachers with this benefit, which means hopefully that by 2025, high deductible plans will also come with pre-tax contribution health savings accounts if we pass this bill. Thank you.
You do have a question, Senator. Senator from the 31st, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be brief. Will the senator yield?
Yes.
As a member of the Puerto Rican caucus here in the Senate, how does it feel that you're almost about to pass your first bill and maybe it will be signed into law?
As a member of the Puerto Rican caucus and a member of the Jason caucus, I only hope I can pass as many bills as you have passed, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. You got me on green now. Thank you.
That was quick.
I yield the will.
You do have one other question. I'm sorry, Senator. Senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Senator. You yield?
I yield.
As a member of I'm not, but since you're a member of the Jason and the Puerto Rican caucus, is it not true that your bills cost a whole lot less than the other member of the senator from the Jason and the Puerto Rican caucus?
The senator from the 19th knows of what he speaks.
All right. Senator from 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, yield.
Now, y'all already grilled me.
Is it true?
I yield. For my friend, I yield for the chairman.
I'm also not a member of the Jason or Puerto Rican caucus, but is it true you can't speak Spanish either?
Well, that senator is not true. I can. Yo hablo español y lo hablo.
Muy bien, gracias.
Creo que lo hablo mejor.
All
I yield the one.
right. Vamonos. The senator from the 6th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 199. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine.
Keep it short and sweet.
On the motion, the yeas are 47, the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. All right, I know I told you that was going to be the last one, but because we care about our healthcare workers so much, I'm going to allow the senators from the 46 to pull this House bill off the table if you agree to it. This is it. This is it, I promise. So, I recognize Senator from the 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we be allowed to remove House Bill 383 from the table.
The senator from the 46 has asked that we remove House Bill 383 from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 383 by Representative Reeves in the 99th and others, a bill to be titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia relating to assault and battery and related offenses against persons so as to provide for enhanced penalties for aggravated assault and aggravated battery committed upon emergency health workers and healthcare workers located on a hospital campus. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 46. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is the Safe Hospitals Act. Our hospital and healthcare workers deserve our utmost respect and protection. We have had some incidents here where they are under attack, sometimes even physically. This bill does a couple of things. One, it increases the penalties for aggravated assault on healthcare workers, whether they're on the hospital campus as defined in here or performing their duties or not. Current law is 1 to 20 years penalty. This increases it to 3 to 20 years confinement for such an aggravated assault. It also allows hospitals to utilize sworn police officers in their patrolling of their own premises or their campus as we define it in this bill. And if they're a sworn officer, post-certified officer, they're allowed to carry firearms at the option of the hospital and are given the same law enforcement powers as local law enforcement while they are on the hospital campus. And that would be the hospital building itself and a 100-yard circumference around that. They do not have to use sworn officers. They may also use security personnel that are not sworn officers, don't carry weapons, and would not have these law enforcement powers. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll be glad to yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I urge your support of this measure.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. We still have 2 pages left, ladies and gentlemen. Let's are they there in the back? Let's see. There's one. Y'all stand up. Y'all stand up. Get in the hallway. Hey, all right. Thank y'all so very much. Thank y'all. Hey, 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 hey. Good job, ladies. Good job. Thank y'all so very much for all your hard work. We greatly appreciate it. So thank y'all so much. Y'all come back and help us out again sometime, please. All right, recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unlike the House of Representatives, the Senate has been performing the duties that lie nearest today, in the words of Thomas Carlyle. So therefore, I move that the Senate be adjourned pursuant to SR 6 until 10 a.m. Monday, March 27th.
All right, the senator has moved, but I want to recognize the senator from the 21st for a special announcement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we're not going to be in session tomorrow is my 39th wedding anniversary, and I want to wish my wife, Chantel, a happy anniversary. She's a lucky woman. Thank you. I yield the will.
I can assure you, Senator, you way outkicked your coverage. I can assure you. So, happy anniversary, Senator, and you tell Chantel we wish her the best. I hope y'all have a good weekend. The majority leader has moved that we stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday, March 27th. All those in favor of that motion will say aye. All those opposed? The ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned.